for Invest in Africa. He comes with a quite vast experience all over the African continent, and Ibrahima is responsible and has obtained numerous projects in the oil and gas, in the renewable sector, through many African countries. I'm sure he will be able to say a little bit more about himself, about Invest in Africa, the organization he represents. I'm sure he will be able to invite you during the next minutes and next hour and a half to join him and Invest in Africa. Ibrahima, the virtual room, so to say, is yours. Good luck, and I'm looking forward to hearing from all of you. You'll be introducing everyone else. I'm leaving you with that.
Thank you very much, Preslav, and good morning to you all, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you're joining us around the world. My name is Ibrahima Aminu, and I would like to welcome you to this first session of the African Digital Week. This session is going to look at specifically embracing the power of digital smart technologies for Africa's renewable energy future. I am sitting in Ghana, in Accra, and I work for an organization called Invest in Africa that is focused on providing support to our corporate members and small, medium enterprises to access markets, finance, and capacity building skills training. We also do renewable energy in supporting the investment in renewable energy projects. We also support the low carbon footprint for most of our members. We have a green supply chain that we provide to our corporate members, as well as support in the policy discussion around the movement of renewable energy from just projects into an industry. Now, today we have a very seasoned panel that will be taking you through a few presentations for which you can then ask some questions afterwards. We will start with Mr. Drew Corbin, who will take us through his presentation. Just a quick introduction to Drew. Drew is the head of performance and investment at GOGLA. GOGLA is the Global Association for the Off-Grid Solar Energy industry. Drew has about 15 years experience, working with companies, governments, donors, and NGOs to catalyze markets in the off-grid light and power sector. In his current role, Drew leads GOGLA's team to strengthen industry performance and improve access to finance in the sector. He believes that optimizing value for customers, economies, and the environment is the driver for increased investment and industry growth. He's most proud to have led an industry initiative to establish the GOGLA Consumer Protection Code, and loves working with off-grid solar companies to help drive cutting-edge technological innovation in villages and homes across Africa. Drew holds a master's degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Nottingham and has lived and worked in Asia, Africa, Latin America, and Europe. I will hand it over now to Drew to take us through his presentation. Over to you, Drew.
Thank you very much, Ibrahima, for the kind introduction. It's a pleasure to be here at the first session of the African Digital Week. Let me share my screen. Cool. Can I just check that you can see that? Cool. I think Yolanda's nodding. Fantastic. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about a green digital technology that is impacting lives and transforming economies across Africa. The Pego Solar business has embraced digital technology to get products into millions of customers' homes across the continent. But I think what's really exciting is what can be done with this solar energy. It's a platform for so many more products and services, and really a foundation for new digital lives and digital businesses. And I'll be saying a bit more about that later, but first I want to talk about the Pego Solar market and technology. So it's a technology that's been around for around 10 years now. 420 million people have had improved access to electricity with this technology for about 53 million products sold. The industry's raised about 2 billion in investment and is continuing to grow. And for many people, 600 million people live without access to grid electricity in Africa. The predominant technology is paraffin, disposable torches, diesel generators. These are expensive, they're dirty, they're low quality sources of light and power. So when people move to modern lighting and power technologies like off-grid solar, you see a whole range of social, economic, environmental impacts. Here's some data from research we've done that 91% of customers feel safer with a modern electric light in their homes and around their homes. 11% have started a business. Many see additional income or reduced expenditure on their traditional fuels. You also see health improves, education improves, and of course something that's not mentioned here, but it has environmental gains as well. These are clean, green, renewable energies that are displacing traditional dirty fuels. A little bit about Gogla. We are the global association for the off-grid solar energy industry. Our aim is to bring access to modern energy services for the 600 million people that don't have access to the grid in Africa, as well as those in Asia as well, and people who have access to an unreliable grid. So we think these products and services are the fastest and the cheapest solution for many of these people, and that the private sector and companies are the best way of providing access, and that they can be supported with smart investment and good policy and regulatory environments. We're a membership organization, so we have 200 plus members. These range from the manufacturers, distributors, tech providers, and investors. We have some of the industry pioneers such as Greenlight Planet and D-Lights. We have African leaders such as Easy Solar and Zonful. We have software providers like Angaza, and big corporates like Engie and Total, and around 50 investors of different flavors, debt, equity, and grants. So it's really a global organization. We have members from Uganda to the United Kingdom and China to California. And we provide these services, market intelligence and research. Please check out our website for a whole host of publications and resources. We have the industry leading events. The last one was in Nairobi in February last year, and we're looking at another one next year. We work with governments and development partners on the policy and regulatory space, as well as our investor partners on raising investment. And we also do industry standards and guidelines. Yeah, please check out our website if you're interested to learn more. A quick look at one of some of this market intelligence to get a good understanding of the sector. So this is sales data from the first half of last year. And our members and affiliates sold around 3 million products, around 2 million solar lights, 500,000 multi-light systems, and around 500,000 larger solar home systems. These are increasingly being sold with TVs, fans, fridges, and kind of productive use technologies such as solar water pumps or maize mills. And a big trend in the sector is this pay-as-you-go business model. And I'll be spending a bit more time talking about that. But the real interesting thing is how it enhances customer affordability. It spreads what would otherwise be an unaffordable product. It spreads the payment over the long term and really unlocks the product in terms of financing for many consumers. So with this pay-as-you-go technology, we see that larger systems are being sold, and they're increasingly being sold with appliances. But also this, interestingly, is tapping into the digital technology and market that enables so much more beyond just a solar product. So I think the power and energy market is interesting, but customers don't really care about electrons and volts. What they want is the appliances, how you can use the energy. So first lights, phone charging, but then fans, TVs, refrigerators. And looking at the market, it really is very significant, a big investment opportunity. In 2018, the estimated market potential is $12.6 billion, and that is the obtainable market for fridges, TVs, and fans. So obtainable being that, if based on consumers' current kind of income and financial status, they would be able to buy these products if it was offered on consumer finance, and they are already living within the distribution reach of many of the companies. So, you see these figures, I think we're really just starting to scratch the surface, and we foresee, significant growth in the market if we can overcome some of the barriers. A bit about the technology for the SHS kits and appliances. So of course we have the PV module is charging a battery and a control unit. The predominant battery used nowadays is a lithium ion, which has got excellent kind of performance characteristics. It's has reduced environmental impact at its end of life, and it's got a good price point as well. The standard technology is for, or the entry-level technology, I should say, is for multiple lights and phone charging. And then the larger systems can now power fans, TVs, and fridges as well. Like I said, as the solar water pumps and agro processing equipment is also coming into the market. And what's key is this digital payments element for the remote monitoring, control, and payment of systems. This is a bit of a how do I say, it's a not a very exciting schematic. I'd encourage you to go onto the Gogla website, see the product showcase there. Click on some of our member links, and you can see some really exciting and fantastic products on their websites. Now, talking about the pay-go model, so customers typically make a 15 to 20% down payment on their products, and then over the lifetime of the system, they will make mobile money payments to prepayments to keep the system running. If they've got the flexibility to pay, per day, per week, per month, whatever they choose. If their prepaid days run out, the system locks out until they make a new payment. When they finish the payments, the system is theirs. And the entry-level SHS kit with lights, it's maybe $150 with consumer finance. Up to the largest systems with fridges, maybe a ticket size of $1,000. So this is really enabled by mobile money, and that digital technology. So while that's great for kind of making flexible and safe payments, I think what's really exciting is giving customers a digital credit profile. This a lot of kind of unbanked customers, without any formal credit history. If over the course of 12, 24 months they can build this up through paying off this system, that very quickly means that they can be interesting for follow-on products and services. I'll say a bit more about that later. A bit about the digital platforms which companies are using to offer this service. Like I say, it's remote monitoring, control, and payments. So for a company that has thousands of assets in place in homes and villages across a country, maybe distributed across vast geographies, this technology enables the company and the investor to see how these assets are performing, how much they're generating, how much they're consuming, and how much each customer is paying, and really understand how they're working, and give great kind of transparency and insights as to across their portfolio. So this kind of digital platform and the data that it gives you really enables you to enhance your financial and operational management into quite a cost-effective service. It also enables kind of a whole host of kind of tools and technologies. So you can see in this diagram, the digital system would be linked to call centers, CRM and accounting, inventory and stock management, sales agents. There's typically large workforce, be it commission or payroll sales agents that you can, monitor and manage through these systems. And then on the technology side, it enables proactive maintenance, dynamic alerts, product telemetry, data insights, remote monitoring and control. And now we see, the market leaders are using artificial intelligence, to improve their offering. And blockchain is being developed in a couple of measures to to kind of support and build new services and investment opportunities. So I'd say, with this technology, we're really seeing both customers and companies, kind of embrace this, the digital opportunities that come with it to, enhance their service, their product, their operational efficiency, and their dialogue with investors, to leverage that and bring more money into their business and the sector. There's two archetypal business models that are coming through: the beyond energy and next generation off-grid utilities. And like I say, both are offering this, kind of SHS kits with appliance with the PAYGo business model, but looking to leverage that, to offer more products and services to their customers, but also, diversify their revenue streams and, make themselves more profitable and more robust. So, using the customer data that's there, they're able to offer, follow-on energy products and services. So you can think starting with this, a small SHS kit, and once they've paid it off, moving to one with a larger panel, a larger battery, maybe upselling a TV, fans, fridges, mobile phones. I see that M-Cobra in Kenya have recently sold 100,000 mobile phones through this technology. Obviously, there's a great synergy with the mobile phone market. A customer in a off-grid or rural area, who would otherwise struggle to charge a mobile phone, as soon as they've got an energy supply in their home, they start to use their phone more, for more transactions, more business. So that's a great virtuous circle with the mobile space. We've seen that customers that have got a PAYGo solar system at home, they have greater revenues with the mobile money provider as well. Other digital services like mobile phone packages, TV packages as well. Azurion also in Kenya and elsewhere, Nigeria. They've got partnerships with TV providers such as MultiChoice to offer their customer packages for kind of full solutions. Really interesting one is financial products and services. So some companies such as Energy Access, they have agricultural loans, school loans, health insurance, commercial loans as well. So once you've got this credit history, this relationship with a customer, then you're really able to build on it and get into some quite exciting products. And then finally, the after sales service and repair. Repair, replace, recycle. Thinking of that end-to-end circular solution. Cool. Here's a picture of the value chain. With the different steps along the way, and there's different business models within that. There's fully vertically integrated that own the whole thing, down to quite specialized supply chains and interesting partnerships. You can read a lot more about it in that report there if you're interested. And then the final slide is the call to action. What's in it for you, the audience? How can you get involved? So the market is established. It's moving, it's interesting, but there's still massive potential to do more. There's 600 million people without access to electricity, but also there's a large existing customer base for which more products and services can grow and kind of bolt on. So we need more startups and scale-ups. We need more staff and skills. There's about 100,000 people in the workforce, off-grid solar workforce already in Africa. That can easily scale up 2, 3, 4-fold in the coming decade. We need more investors and investments. There's been around 2 billion into the industry so far. And I think 10 or 12 billion by 2030 is needed to hit the energy access targets. Better policy and promotions is a big one as well, getting that enabling environment right in terms of fiscal policy, regulation, standards, infrastructure, skills, education. I think that there's a big role for policymakers and development partners there too. So yeah, I hope this has been interesting and tickled your fancy. If so, contact me here, decarb@gogler.org. Join us. We're very interested and happy to expand our membership to new companies, new investors, and you can follow us on social here as well. Looking forward to any questions and discussions after this, so I'll be around. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Drew. That was a very insightful presentation, and I, for one, will definitely be getting in touch with you. You look like you're doing quite a lot of interesting stuff over there. So thank you for that, and I'm sure when we get into the questions, you'll have a lot more opportunity to sort of explain your methodology and what's next, for the future. I would like to move on to Yolanda Mabuto. And before I introduce Yolanda, I would like to surprise her a little bit. So Yolanda, sawubona, kunjani? Great. I just needed to sort of introduce you there in your local language. So really quickly, Yolanda is the founding director of Devane Growth Solutions. She's a chairperson of South African Institute of Electrical Engineers. She's an entrepreneur and an innovator. She's the member of the BRICS Energy and Green Economy Group and an international partner for World Business Angel Investment Forum. She's a leader of a global startup for Africa. Africa, she's an Africa STEM leader. She's a multiple award winner, an international board member. She's a mentor, and most importantly, she is also a mother. I'm going to hand it over to Yolanda now to take us through her presentation. Over to you, Yolanda.
Thank you so very much for such a great introduction. It is a pleasure for me to represent my organization in such a very important topic that we're talking about, digital, transformation in our sector. We have been talking about it for some time in the BRICS community or ecosystem. And I'm happy to see that these organizations are also looking into having such discussions where we not only discuss what is out there or what is an opportunity, but also we're coming with solutions. I'm happy to have heard from the previous speaker. I can already see some synergies. Just briefly about who we are as Devane Growth Solution. We're an organization that is led by females. In South Africa, we are so firmly and strongly believe in the clean energy, and we are in the renewable space. Hence, we serve in the BRICS working group representing South Africa. And for me, it is such a privilege to have this discussion. And I will just browse through. I mean, there's a lot of research out there. There's a lot of learnings that have already been shared by the colleagues within the sector. Some of the things I would touch on would be the PV panel manufacturing, trying to see what are the innovative technologies that are required to transform the sector as we advance and move ahead. So briefly, I think we're all aware that the PV manufacturing is a big market that is also still growing, and we have an opportunity to innovate even in that space. And this is one of the space that my organization is also playing on, because within the PV sector or PV space, we are able to manufacture in a clean way. We also have some new technologies that we use to ensure that at the end of the day, when we say green economy, we actually mean green economy. And in turn, when we speak about manufacturing, it is clear that we speak about generation of jobs. We speak about income opportunities. And I'm sure you can agree with me with this pandemic that we are all faced with as the country. We need to really move into projects that will create opportunities for young people, for women, really to advance their lives. I will be talking through PV generation, construction, energy storage, microgrid, and I'm sure you can agree with me that the energy is a primary and is used everywhere. At home right now, this would not be possible without energy. So that's why it's important for us to ensure that we treat energy advancement as a priority. And we have this discussion on how to advance the sector. What technologies are out there in the market and also in other countries. And I'll be mainly speaking about Africa and South Africa to be specific, because that's where I'm centered at the moment. But I mean, we can learn from international organizations like the one Drew presented about. There are so much opportunities that we could plug into in looking for these solutions. And I mean, we need power to have our streets shining during the night time, as well as have our schools powered up. So, I mean, we need to move into spaces where we are able to advance the sector and look at the resources that are potential in ensuring that we fully exploit the energy sector and the technology, because this is where the world is moving towards. So briefly, what I would look into is the concept, or rather core concepts of modern energy systems that we need to be looking into. And I know my colleague who presented before me touched on some, but I will also just browse through them, because I mean, it's the same language, it's the same, you know, opportunities that we're all looking into as we want to advance the sector. So some of those opportunities we talk about, you know, low carbon energy technology. We are seeing opportunities, great opportunities in the smart power, you know, including energy storage, including, you know, smart cities and buildings. And I'm happy to also play a huge role in the Association of Municipal Electricity Utility within Southern Africa, because what I love about that platform is the fact that we are advancing our discussions. We've always said, you know, municipalities are behind or they are lagging behind, but I can safely say for Southern African municipalities, we are having such discussions. And now what we need to do is to move from discussion mode into implementation mode. And I think these discussions are helping us to see how do we then take our discussions into implementable projects. And with that too, there are ways that we need to be smart about in also trying to implement such, you know, good projects that will not only turn into advancing the sector, but also create opportunities for young people and for women. And I was happy to be part of the discussion yesterday, where the Department of Energy in South Africa is really also, as we're saying, we are digitalizing the industry, but we should not forget about inclusiveness of gender. This is one area where my organization feels strongly about ensuring that we create spaces for females to be able to play a part in the sector, because we all are aware that they play a role in deciding in what goes in and out of their homes. So briefly, what I would also, you know, look into is the eco-friendliness of, you know, the clean and energy technology. There are new technologies that we need to be looking into. And as Africa, or as African businesses and as an African, you know, countries, we need to learn from other organizations from outside the continent, because like I've said, there are technologies that are there, but we just need to find out what works for a certain country, because context becomes very critical and key in such advancements as the country. So if you can move to the next slide, Peslav. So really, we need to ensure also about the energy efficiency. And I know we spoke about, or rather the previous speaker spoke about the artificial intelligence. We also spoke about the blockchain. And when we spoke about the blockchain, we're not only referring to currencies. I mean, there are so many ways that as the industry, we can accelerate, you know, the change, ensuring that we use those functions that are used, but also channel them, make sure that they speak to what we are trying to do as a strategy for the sector. So there are smart manufacturing of solar panels, which I've also mentioned earlier, which also talks about how do we use automative system to ensure that we get the great value in advancing our sector. I mean, there's also, energy storage. We can all agree that it's a very emerging market, and it is coming here as a game changer in supporting our renewable energy deployment. And these are the discussions, again, that we normally have as the BRICS working group in paving, discussions forward in seeing how do we transform the sector, who do we need as a role player to transform the sector. And data monetization has been mentioned as well. There are ways that we can use to buy and sell power. And those ways, again, there are opportunities for young people, for women, for men to be able to have income opportunities. And I mean, if we're talking about modern ways or technologies to use or to devise in trying to advance the sector, we ought to be talking about research and development. So what does that look like? What do we need to do as the country or as the continent? We need to invest in research and development. And when we speak about research and development, we also speak about training. What type of trainings do we need? And who needs to be trained? Who do we need to capacitate to ensure that we've got skilled and competent people that are playing a role on the ground in the sector? So that becomes very critical as we move along the sector. You can move to the next slide. So some of the things that I have highlighted in my presentation in ensuring that we accelerate the transition. I mean, I've mentioned a few, and it will feel like this slide is a repetition, but really it needs to be driven home that there are many ways that we shouldn't shy away from as the sector. There are blockchains, Internet of Things that we need to make sure that they work in favor for the energy systems. We need Internet of Energy. Now we've been saying Internet of Things, Internet of the World. Now we're saying Internet of Energy. What type of internet do we need to digitalize and transform the distribution of the networks? And I'm happy to have worked in the power sector for almost a decade, where I've really learned what exactly is needed. And I think my change or transition into the clean energy sector comes from having worked for Eskom and having seen, what the challenges are, what the future looks like if we keep doing business the way we're doing business. So that made me transition and see what are the possible, ways we can use as businesses, because we can't always say, the government is not doing that. What are we supporting the government with to ensure that the government is supported and we create, successful infrastructures that will allow us to implement and really see the efficiency that we want to see. And when we talk about technology that we need to use to innovate, there's also investment that is also part of the discussion, because we know with energy, it has been said many times that it's a very energy or capital intense market. So what do we need to do to ensure that we support the implementation of new technologies or innovations? One of the roles that my organization has taken recently as an international partner for the World Business Angel Investment Forum is to really stand in the gap for businesses in Africa and across the globe, but more especially in Africa, to see what investments are available for businesses to be able to implement projects. Because if these projects are not implemented, it then means that we are delaying the strategy, we are delaying the implementation of strategy. So investment becomes another innovative way in ensuring that we're advancing our technologies, and to ensure that we work hand in hand with our innovative systems and policies, which is another very important part. And I think Drew also touched on, we need smart policies that will really speak to what we're trying to get into as the countries. Because if our policies are saying something else and we are doing something else, we're really not doing any fair action to the sector. But we need ways that will help us to implement our policies, and really new business models are needed. As I said before, we can't keep doing business the way we did business before COVID-19. Things have changed. People are going digital. How are we then pivoting as businesses or as the sector, what are the needs, that we need to look into? What are the suitable, financing mechanism, and what are the range of social measures? Because there's also social impact in everything that we do, in every sector. So what are the things that we need to promote to ensure that renewables and the sector itself really becomes efficient, and really to nurture innovation and ensuring that proper policies, like I've said before, are in place and they are able to be implemented. So if you can move to the next slide. The next slide will also be looking at what exactly do we need to talk about in ensuring that we advance the sector. What do we need to achieve in transitioning the sector into the space where we want to see the sector in? So we really need to achieve collaborations. And I'm happy that even in this discussion, there are already synergies for collaborating. So we can collaborate in many things, in many ways. I had, the previous speaker speaking about the need for startups, the needs for scale-ups. And I mean, we are in South Africa having incubation, having programs, and also as the South African Institute of Electrical Engineers Entrepreneurship and Innovation Sector, we have startups that are really waiting to be supported to be moved to the next level. So these are the things that we need to look into as the sector and ensure that we advance our discussions. So really, as well as the BRICS Energy is also looking at leveraging collective market and market research. What is out there? What do we need to do? The frameworks I've mentioned, we need to look at the frameworks. And as BRICS, we also look into what are the countries within the BRICS ecosystem are doing? What can we learn from them? So basically, those are the things that I would really like to share with you. If you want to know more, if you want to engage with me, feel free to do so. Here are my contact details. I'll be happy to discuss further, collaborations and ways to take Africa further to the next level in the green and renewable space. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Yolanda. Very, very clear, and it looks like a lot of good things are happening in the Rainbow Nation. I think for me, what really stands out is the need for the transformation of the sector to encourage more women-led businesses. I think that for me is one of the biggest outcomes of it, because we tend to have a little bit of a distortion in the market where a lot of it is mainly male-led. And I think encouraging more women to get involved in the sector is important, because they will drive the change, they will drive more jobs, and obviously, care for a lot of families. So thank you very much, Yolanda, for your submission. I will now move to our next panelist, Asma Hanafi. And in keeping up with the theme, Assalamu alaikum, Asma.
Wow. Brahim, I don't know that you are speaking Arabic. That sounds good.
Thank you very much. So allow me to introduce you really quickly. Asma is in Egypt, in Alexandria. She is a nuclear engineer, a researcher as well at the Alexandria University in the Nuclear Engineering and Radiation Department, concerned about digital transformation and renewable energy through her work, and as a founder of a Green Society initiative to raise environmental awareness, to fight climate change, and to move to achieve sustainable development goals. Over the years of experience for Asma, she has empowered employees, entrepreneurs, and startups to adapt with the change as effectiveness for leaders. She has a master's in business administration and a specialized diploma in advanced nuclear power plants. She's also a board member of the Egyptian Syndicate of Engineers. She is a member at the Federation of Arab Engineers, and she has received numerous awards over the African continent, and she has done many interviews over the last 4 years, and she is clearly at the forefront of the transitioning of the energy across the African continent. I would like to hand it over to Asma to take us through her presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ibrahima, for this powerful introduction about me. And first, let me start by share my screen with all of you. Okay, I'm so excited and happy for being here with all of you. And I will focus today on Internet of Things in the energy sector. First, the purpose of being here is the energy industry is getting greener. Digitalization is improving the efficiency of energy. Digital transformation is reshaping every business. Internet of Things in the energy sector, you know, the relation will be between people, things, and things to things. So let me start by introduce or define, describe what is Internet of Things.
Hello, Asma. I'm sorry
Yes.
for interrupting you. You're actually not sharing your screen. Would you like me to share the screen for you?
Okay, please.
I will do that if you stay with me for a second. I'm sorry for that. I have your presentation here and I will share the screen now. I will do it in that case. You can continue.
Okay. I'm just in slide number 4, by the way. Yes, that's one. What is Internet of Things mean? Internet of Things mean interconnection of several devices, machines, or appliances that generate data. Then, why the need to drive Internet of Things? To develop between the changing trends and find new and creative way for enabling success and innovation. Let me call this an opportunity for entrepreneurs, startups, and more applications, platforms to find solutions and solve any problem. Now, the question is, what are the forces driving Internet of Things? Interconnectivity of devices, storage capacity, cloud computing, advanced analytics, marketing automation. Slide number 5. That we can figure these driving forces out the relation between the 3 different market sectors. As you see in the diagram, users and businesses, utilities and society, solution and service providers. As we speak about slide number 6, as we speak about digitalization, and that is for me equal decarbonization, decrease carbon dioxide. Then how is Internet of Things transforming the energy industry? Internet of Things in the energy sector starts by smart cities with green energy sources like, solar, wind, and of course, nuclear. Internet of Things can be working from collecting data, monitoring and control for 24 hours per 7 days, and provide data analytics that improving energy efficiency, reducing environmental impacts of the energy use, and increasing the share of renewable energy. Okay, let me explain it more. For users or service providers affixing smart meters and sensors to measure weather condition, collect data about energy production, performance, efficiency, and usage as per energy price. In addition to supporting preventive maintenance program, monitoring this digital twin technology for buildings and facilities to improve safety and security by taking action as energy manager or energy user. For example, Internet of Things sensors to pipelines can help detect leaks that, if left not considered, may result in fires or explosions. Leaks also amount to wasted resources and contributed to global warming. That's making digital transformation is reshaping every business. And pop-up industrial Internet of Things. Let me move for slide number 7. Digitalization is improving the efficiency of energy that can be divided into 7 points. Start by user. Are they aware of this technology? Are they have knowledge, information, infrastructure? How can keep on privacy, safety, and security? Point number 2, tools. How are platforms, applications, easy to use for different culture, educational background, age of users, and the most important part, machines and sensors, its cost, updates, and maintenance. Number 4, alert. How to improve real-time decision-making, solve critical problems, and create new and innovative experiences. Number 5, connectivity. To develop new services, enhance productivity and efficiency. Analytics to predict equipment failure, improve safety, and increase production. Processing, such as industrial robots and 3D printing, standards practice to certain industrial applications. These technologies can help increase accuracy and reduce industrial scrap. The most important of this is slide number 8. The most important of Internet of Things is industrial Internet of Things. We spoke about these 7 points as you see in the diagram. And slide number 9, the importance of Internet of Things has a wide range of benefits for every part of the electric supply chain network, from power generation to the point when consumers pay their electricity bills. As we see from everyday things, machine-to-machine wireless sensor network, building management, vehicles, assets, person, and pet monitoring and controlling. Smart home and cities, healthcare, security, energy consumption, agriculture, automation, everything is get connecting for smarter tomorrow. And especially, as after COVID-19 pandemic, but still the most important part is Internet of Things, privacy and security. From context awareness, standardized mechanisms, real-time protection, attack protection, scalable approach, secure data storage, trust management, recovery and self-healing, access, I can say cybersecurity is a highly sensitive area that requires a responsible partner who understands how products, systems, and solutions integrate with the process and people behind them, and how people interact with them. That can be shaped into device, sensors, cloud, end user, and privacy and security policies. This is the slide number 10. This is about Internet of Things, security, and privacy. Let me move for slide number 11. This is also, as you see, when we speak about privacy and security policies, we can speak about this main part: device, sensors, cloud computing, data storage, and end user. For slide number 12, the most important part, artificial intelligence support energy managers of the future. Artificial intelligence can be combined with cyber physical security to add intelligent decision-making capacity. Evolving cyber physical security into so-called intelligent cyber physical security. Here shown in the figure, this integration of intelligent cyber physical security in energy system couldn't only change design principle but operation regime, but also contribute to transition in many ways. Examples of such intelligent cyber physical security potential benefits include energy efficiency, enhancement, operational flexibility in a dynamic environment, resilience of critical infrastructure, and more. Artificial intelligence is impacting the future of virtual every industry and every human being. Artificial intelligence has acted as the main driver of emerging technologies like big data, robotics, and of course, Internet of Things. And it will continue to act as a technological innovator for expecting the future. Internet of Things and artificial intelligence can help utility managers to understand how they can use their data to identify and understand consumption trends and automatically fine-tune systems to ensure the optimal level of efficiency. Then we are moving for slide number 13, that is about the conclusion. The conclusion of Internet of Things in the energy sector, connecting you with the world of energy. How is the Internet of Things in the energy sector is changing the way we use energy, mean more convenience in our life, whether in your home, around your neighborhood, or throughout your local community. Internet of Things will take your relationship with power to the next level, empowering you to make better choices for yourself, your family, and your home. The last part is, as we much as moving to digitalization, that is, of course, as I said before, moving to decarbonization and decrease carbon dioxide and go to renewable energy. And this is all about how can we lead to further efficiency along the supply chain and less likely to replace still sizable labor needs for major engineering and construction activity related to physical infrastructure. Thank you. And this is the last part of my presentation for today, and welcome for any questions and requests.
Thank you very much, Asma. Wonderful performance, wonderful presentation. Yeah, I think it's clear that as we move into the future, artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things, robotics, and big data are going to be an integral part of how we try and unlock the potential of this wonderful continent of Africa. And obviously, you know, a lot of care has to be placed on how we go about doing all of that. So thank you so much for just sort of clarifying all of how these things link together, and you know, just really providing us with a lot of information. So thank you. So what I want to do now is that, first of all, let me thank you all for your great presentations. Drew, Yolanda, and Asma put together very good presentations. I want to just maybe get into one or two questions that I have. And I want to start with maybe Drew. Drew, you know, in your presentation, we see that there's a lot of technological advancement that's happening. And one of the concerns that has always been raised in Africa is about the way in which all this advancement is relatively scattered. And it seems like on the policy side, not a lot is being done to find a way to integrate the developments in technology to the advancement of the ordinary man on the street. What is your view on the best way to sort of, you know, bridge that gap between policy, technological advancement for the betterment of livelihoods?
Yeah, thanks, Ibrahima. Great question. Yeah, indeed, I think for this market to flourish and, you know, customers to really see the impact and, you know, that supports economic growth, we need a strong policy and regulatory environment. And there are countries and places that have, you know, really done a good job in, you know, kind of supporting industry and consumers access these products. You know, Kenya is the market leader in Africa. I think last year there was 1 million products sold there, and, you know, that's based on, you know, many years of support and good practice from the Kenyan government, thinking about, you know, product quality standards, regulatory support, you know, fiscal support as well around, you know, VAT and duty imports, although that's more of a challenging topic at the moment as, you know, governments face budget gaps and hard economic times. But also kind of the ease of doing business and, you know, helping, you know, companies, you know, with as part of an international supply chain to operate. But of course, you know, Nairobi is a hub in East Africa for business innovation and investment, and, you know, that's really been for the last 10 years kind of the heart of innovation and growth in the sector. So yeah, you've seen, you know, places like Kenya that have put in supportive environments, the market has really flourished. Elsewhere, I'd say it's been perhaps a bit more patchwork in terms of what they've done. There has been some success. In other countries in East Africa, they've adopted product quality standards. For example, in Rwanda's there, and it's had good impacts. Now West Africa is on the rise in terms of sales and investments. So we know some of the kind of the ingredients for success. Even if we're not fully following the recipe. Maybe for any people interested, any kind of a policy wonks out there, we've on Gogla's website we have a document on guidance for governments on how to support the sector, which kind of looks at the full raft of options on what can be done to catalyze markets.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Drew. Very comprehensive answer there. I have a follow-up question on off-grid solutions. As we increasingly are challenged with hydrocarbon usage for a lot of our power plants in Africa, there has been this sort of appetite for off-grid solutions, but we still see this being led more by the private sector. What do you think is the future for off-grid, and how do you see off-grid becoming a lot more mainstream, and even eventually for us to start seeing, not just private sector, but government actively, sort of supporting off-grid?
Yeah, great. So it's our view that the private sector is the best placed, to deliver off-grid solutions, in terms of the kind of the speed. I think commercial markets are best ways to connect customers with these products and services, but also in terms of the financing angle as well. Of course, governments with limited budgets have limited capacity, and we think around $12 billion is needed to get this market where it can be in 10 years' time, and that private investment is really the key to unlocking that. Saying that there is a role for government clearly as well, and particularly for those that part of the market segment that is hard to reach or is very low income and vulnerable. I think that there is a role for subsidies and for governments supporting that through investment and kind of social safety nets. And there are some models for kind of public and private partnerships. The government of Togo has done a fantastic scheme, working with some companies there. It's the same PAYGO model, and the government kind of makes a payment every time a customer makes a payment for their solar home system. The government tops it up through this kind of automatic mobile money wallet. And that's proved really effective in getting more products out there and getting products to people who otherwise wouldn't be able to afford it.
Thank you very much, Drew. I really appreciate that. I have a few questions for Yolanda. Yolanda, we still have you with us, do we?
Yes, I'm still very much here.
Great, good to see you. So Yolanda, we speak about the institutional framework, in terms of supporting innovation and sort of fast tracking transition. How do you see this institutional framework evolving to a level where it can support innovative ideas, it can fast track transition, and it can ensure that the spillover effect is felt by everyone on the ground?
So that's a brilliant question, and it's something that really needs to be looked into not only by South African government and companies that are around, innovation and looking into advancing innovation. But what I think needs to be done is to really, again, going back to policies. If we don't have any policies that are guiding principles in what we want to implement, we are going nowhere slowly. But if we have smart policies that will really support any discussions by any institution, so that from those discussions on the policies we're able to implement, and how we can then upscale that is to have champions around innovation, champions from the government and champions from the private sector. Again, I think it comes back to those public-private partnerships, so that the government doesn't say this and the private sector is saying something different. There has to be a cohesion, there has to be an alignment in our discussions, and also alignment in our implementation, and also really making sure that both sides have champions that are championing on the ground and also at the strategy level. Because we have beautiful strategies, but when it comes to implementation, it becomes a challenge because we don't have anyone on the ground to drive the implementation of our strategies. So that's basically how I think we could elevate the voice, and the message out there.
Thank you for that, Yolanda. Follow-up is on the area around investment, in the sector. We've typically heard, governments seem to be constrained. So a lot of it is driven by either the private sector or the DFIs, sometimes some of the multilaterals. What do you think are the practical constraints around accessing investment to drive transformation in the sector?
Well, firstly, one of the practical, example I could come up with is one of the projects that I've been trying to, support with regards to supporting investment and advancing, the acceleration of, green energy. The government sometimes, as you have said, they are constrained in financing or capital, and also in resourcing, because sometimes some project really needs the government support. Sometimes it's not really about financial support. It's just about saying we will always make sure that we remove every red tape that you might come up with as you implement. Without those discussions and without that kind of facilitation and support from the government, that causes constraints in advancing or implementing projects or implementing investment, because there are so many organizations that are saying we have investments that we could give into Africa to drive projects. You find that they would say, but we need the government to support it fully. Without government supporting it, not necessarily financial wise, but saying we endorse it, or by probably, leasing a portion of land for some small pilot projects to prove, success in certain projects. Without that, then it becomes constraints in both ways, in implementing and also facilitating investments.
Thank you so much, Yolanda. Very clear that there's still a lot of work that can be done. But even within financial constraints, I think the message from you is loosen up the red tape and let's allow the private sector to be able to drive this transformation. So even without having to invest specific capital, but once you loosen, all the bureaucracy, we can then get things done. So thank you very much for that. Asma, let me come to you really quickly. I want to just get your views on what you think the Internet of Things that you spoke at length about. How do you see it transforming the energy sector specifically?
For Africa, if we speak about Africa or any country, we have the power of renewable energy, especially solar. And for Internet of Things, as more as we go to digitalization, we move to decarbonization. This is the trend of nowadays. All of us are going, let me give you an example for make it an easy to understand Internet of Things in energy sector. Just you go to your work and you just come in your mind that you miss air condition still working or the bubble of light is working, and just switch by one click. Use your smartphone, you can turn this switch off. In other ways, without Internet of Things, you will go to and get your car and move to your home to turn this switch off. You know how can is we save time, effort, and how Internet of Things is solving any problem existing. We can touch that in COVID-19 pandemic. All of us are working from home, using platforms and using another application that make our life is more easy. So.
Great, fantastic. I was going to say that in my next life, when I come back as a billionaire, I can turn on my AC when I'm still driving, and then by the time I get home, it will be nice and cool.
Okay.
I've got a question for you, Asma, from Anup Kumar Chakrabarti, who sent us this through the chat. And his question is, did you find the implementation of the Internet of Things project in Alexandria, Egypt, as a real scenario basis? And what are the main challenges there are for building a smart city? So maybe let's take the first part. What are the, in your project, is it on a real scenario basis?
For Alexandria, Egypt, still working on that. Maybe in a city near from Alexandria, there is industrial Internet of Things, maybe applied in this city called Burj Al Arab. This is an industrial city, and as the government mentioned before, there will be using industrial Internet of Things in some area or regions in this city. And hope we are all working for using Internet of Things in Alexandria, Egypt, or any city for Egypt. But there is a lot of challenges, starting from infrastructures, policies, internet stability. All this is challenges. I think we are all facing this.
Thank you very much, Asma. The second part of the question was, what are the main challenges in building a smart city?
As I say, first is user who understand the meaning of a smart city. After that, sensors and cost of these sensors and infrastructure. And also, as Yolanda mentioned, about policies. How can we make policies effective and implement these policies and make it into action? We just not type or make this policy, but not make it valid or make it can be applied. And of course, make applications and platforms and this smart city easy and smart for everyone from every educational background or age to can be used. Electric vehicles, for example, and smartphones. Also, not everyone can use every application or every platform. How can this is the main challenge? We can focus on it when we go through building smart cities. And also the source of energy, it must be clean and green. We have to divest fossil fuels and move to renewable energy.
Thank you, Asma. So the key point is let's go green.
Yes.
I'm going to come back to you, Drew, really quickly on the use of technology on the continent. Two challenges that I think we should address. One, the penetration of internet on the continent is relatively low. And then the second area is the lack of tech savviness, really, of the average African. How do you propose we overcome these two specific hurdles for there to be a proper takeoff of some of your products?
Cool, thanks, Ibrahim. I hope you don't mind if I change the question slightly. For off-grid solar, rather than the internet and that connectivity being the driving force, we're looking at mobile money wallets and the offtake of mobile money. You know, if for this pay-as-you-go solar model, you know, if you have mobile money infrastructure that's there, it really is a key enabler. So, you know, looking at the kind of the infrastructure, the skills, you know, the companies that are needed to take that and make it happen in countries where there is a nascent market, I think is a key driver. And, you know, I think that also relates to, you know, customers becoming more kind of tech savvy, more comfortable with you know, digital technologies, with companies and brands, and understanding how it works and how it can impact their lives. So yeah, for me, the off-grid solar market, I'd look at mobile money infrastructure as a key enabler. And then as to how kind of, I suppose, tech savvy the average customers in Africa, you know, we've seen from market leaders in the off-grid solar sector, you know, they're successful when they, you know, understand the customer best, and they're able to, you know, offer products and services that, you know, engage them, are clear to them, you know, they understand and they can work with. So, you know, think about the marketing materials, the user manuals, the agents pitch, you know, the call center supports, and also kind of the interfaces with the technology. So, you know, for example, if you do have a mobile money wallet to make payments, you know, it's simple. You know how much to pay. You know how much, you know, you've got left to pay. How long it's going to take. You know, a customer that's well informed, you know, about the finance and the product, you know, is more likely to be satisfied. They're more likely to keep paying. So, you know, I think a customer-centric approach, you know, can take, you know, what, you know, you don't need a big slide deck and the complex schematics that I've shown for customers to understand and appreciate the technology. And then when you find that when these products are in people's homes, they have such a kind of fundamental impact on their lives and livelihoods that they very quickly get to understand things around, you know, like, you know, the energy generation and consumption and how long they can use their TV for before it starts running out. So, yeah, I think it's about customer centricity and making these products, you know, useful and impactful on people's lives.
Great answer. Thank you very much, Drew. Yolanda, I'm going to come back to you. I see, you know, obviously, I think when you live on the continent and you hear any politician or government officials speak, it's always about job creation, isn't it? Now, what I want to understand from you is what is the potential, you know, for renewable energy to either be a job creator or perhaps maybe just a catalyst for creating jobs? What are your thoughts?
Thanks for that. I think when I presented, I've mentioned on the new technologies that we can apply in advancing the sector that would then create opportunities. A quick example would be one project that we're looking into pilot that manufactures your solar panel from sand. I won't get into too much detail on how to get into that, but that is a great potential to create or for creating employment opportunities, one, and also skill transfer, because at the end of the day, we want sustainable, skills that will sustain, people across, and not only, employment, but also entrepreneurship opportunities, because we also like to move away from employment mindset more to entrepreneurship mindset, because that helps to grow the economy. So the new technologies that will be applied in the sector have a great potential of creating employment and also entrepreneurship. So for me, if we can really focus on those as we innovate and as we do our research, from the research, what can we pilot? From piloting and looking at the success, then we implement, and those projects or small pilots would, whether it's a short-term employment, but at the end of the day, it does add value into people's lives.
Thank you, Yolanda. Very good answer. We have 2 minutes, so I think we can begin to wrap up. What I want to do is to really thank you all quite profusely, Drew Corbin, Asma Hanafi, and obviously Yolanda Mabuto. Thank you so much for joining this session. I think it has been very, very, informative. It's been interactive. We're happy to have had you here with us. I would just like to, end off by saying that I think, if I had to link the 3 things that you all said, it would be an area of Internet of Things to support the profusion and use of solar or off-grid solutions that can then create jobs. So that would be a wrap up, just really in summary of all the 3 things that you've all said. So I'd like to thank you very much. You can all visit our website, investinafrica.com, to get more information about what we do and how we can support your business. And I would like to hand it over to Preslav to sort of close the session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brahima, for your time. Thank you for all of you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you
very much.
Thank you very much, everyone, for an excellent session. Ibrahima, I just wrote you wonderful style. I have seen hundreds of conferences and moderated. I'd like to congratulate you, and I'll definitely look forward meeting each and every one of you in person somewhere in the beautiful Africa, hopefully. I would like to just mention a few things. Please do make sure that you all let us know all these presentations, the recordings. They will be seen by, I'm sure, several hundred people after that offline. The recordings will be sent to people. Those of you who would like to have your contacts shared with other participants, as we call it, digitalization enthusiasts, please write us an email. Join us on LinkedIn, in the conference group on LinkedIn. There is a good chat there as well where you can meet. We will break just for a few minutes, saying that 5 minutes, and we're continuing, just welcoming the speakers from the second panel to join us in. We'll test very quickly the cameras, and we're back online with session 2. Thank you one more time. Thank you. I'll see you a little later. Stay with us.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye now.
Hello, everybody. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, gentlemen and everyone else.
When we must start?
We're starting in a minute. Everyone else can hear us. We're starting in a minute. My colleagues, if they're ready. Hello, good afternoon one more time. A very short break, I'm sure, but we're good to continue. I would like to, for those who are joining us right now, I would like to introduce myself one more time. My name is Preslav Bobev. I am going to host and moderate, so to say, and I'll ask you to forgive me. I'm not a professional moderator. I definitely cannot live up to the level that Ibrahima put this morning, but I'll do my best to introduce our afternoon speakers and the afternoon session. I would like to welcome this afternoon. We have a very interesting second session, and I will just try to explain why. We have three academics, gentlemen who are joining us from both South Africa and from Iran, three gentlemen, doctors, engineers, who are coming with an academic background, and couple of, I like to call it, gentlemen who are involved in innovations in the technology, in the interesting technologies. We will hear from Thierry Suzanne in France about street lighting for smart cities, putting it most generally, and something I'm looking forward very much as well to hearing about will be from Zander, Mr. Zander, who's joining us from South Africa, about use of drone technologies, something very innovative, very new. I am sure everybody knows something about that, but that is something to still hear. On that note, I don't want to lose any more time. I would like to invite our first presenter, Mr. Heinrich Geldenhuys. If I'm pronouncing the name correct, which I hope I'm doing, he'll forgive me. Heinrich is a PhD candidate in engineering management. He's joining us from Stellenbosch University in South Africa. I'm sure many of you know this alma mater. Like I said, he's a candidate in engineering management. I know Heinrich has a passion for infrastructure projects, and he's been speaking to a lot of events globally, from China to America. I'm sure, Heinrich, you can tell us a little more about you. I won't take all the time speaking instead of you on your behalf. Happy to introduce you and happy to hear a little more about you, about your backgrounds and everything else. The room is yours.
Thank you, Bobev. Can I do a screen share? Share screen. Cool. Can everybody see that?
Indeed, yes.
Okay, cool. So, okay, good day, I'm Heinrich Geldenhuys. I'm currently working on my doctoral research on how to manage infrastructure transitions for smart sustainable cities through Stellenbosch University. Today, I will be talking briefly about what is a smart city and from the perspective, from what perspective should we approach the transformation. What are cities? Well, I guess it depends from what perspective you look at it. It can be a place that some of us consider as fun or sociable. It can be a place that cries for help. We can all agree that rapid population growth is making matters more urgent today. Currently, the average of the world's population living in urban areas is projected to increase by 2.5 billion to become 66% by 2050. The Asian Development Bank stated that if we do not deal with these challenges fueled by rapid increasing urban expansion, they will significantly worsen. If nothing is done, our urban infrastructure will be stressed past the point of trying to keep up. To put this in perspective, this is equivalent to 192,000 people moving into the world's cities every day until the year 2050, a significant burden to city planners. But what I'm presenting here is not to demotivate you, but to build a path towards a greater goal. The smart city may not be a solution to everything, but it can be a means or powerful tool for us to invent the future with. Some of my favorite quotes. They show how urban challenges have existed over many years and still exist today. These challenges have been confronted several times, but changing environments and different contexts cause them to resurface. It's also said in here that we have the know-how, tools, technology, and approaches available today to address these urban challenges. What is a smart city? A smart city can be pictured as a multi-scale collection of instruments connected through multiple networks, continuously providing data regarding the flow of materials, people, and decisions about social and physical form of the city. A city can only be considered smart if there are intelligent functions that are able to integrate and synthesize city data for improving the quality of life, efficiency, sustainability, and equity in the city. What are some of the drivers that pressure cities to want to change or transition to a smart city? Urbanization, urban growth, and urban sprawl, resource shortage, environmental challenges, public safety, inadequate public infrastructure, innovation keeping up with evolving technology, economic development, aligning of national local policies, competition from surrounding regions, meeting needs according to future projections, information communication technology as a possible means of offering improved solutions for urban problems. These are just some of them. Key points of consideration for transforming or transitioning a city. So I briefly have like 8 points that I just discussed, and this is just a very informative guide just to take into consideration when designing a new city. Every city is unique. There's no smart city solution that fits all cities. Every solution will in its own way be customized for a specific city. Sourcing the right expertise. Innovation will require new ways of thinking and require experts that can carefully manage the risks of applying non-standard methods. Throughout the transition, it's important that each expert and member of a team understands their role within the bigger project and how their domain interrelates with other projects. Having project goals align with that of the overall vision of the city transformation is also very important. Social and political context. Understanding the social and political context, it's important when designing a city transformation to understand this context, the social dynamics and political context in the city. Political goals might differ from the overall vision of the city transformation and can cause a lot of setbacks. Social context carries weight in that the project you are designing might not succeed if it does not fit within the community it's implemented in. Selecting solutions that is needed. The focus of a smart city should be on not making a statement, but rather it should be on solving a problem, creating opportunities in a city. Meaningful stakeholder engagements. Throughout the transition, involving the right stakeholders impact the success of the project. Every city will have to find the best way for them to engage the relevant stakeholders. Involving too many can stall the transition, but too little can give inaccurate indications. The integration of the projects. It's important to know what the overall vision of the city transformation is and how each project will contribute to it. The integration of the projects is very important as one of the projects might have dependencies on another project. and alter the success. One of the projects might have dependencies on another project, or the result of one project might alter the success of another project. A project should each function within the system of systems. Expectations versus reality. Be sure to have the right expectations of what is possible and feasible. Financing investment. Each city will have its own challenges of financing the infrastructure. At the end, finances will determine whether the infrastructure will be implemented or not, and unique ways of attracting investment and creating revenue will have to be considered in the city. Lastly, in conclusion, early in my doctorate studies, I was fortunate to have a conversation with Akel Bultali on transitioning cities when I was in Chicago. During his career, he was the Minister of Tourism in Jordan, former Mayor of Amman, and Senior Vice President of Royal Jordan Airlines. Sadly, he recently passed away in February. Throughout our conversation, Mr. Bultali made me aware of something simple that is easily forgotten throughout large infrastructure projects. He said, "Always remember, although cities are made of infrastructure, the core remains that cities are made for people." We should always design and build infrastructure with an awareness for the people in the city. Thank you. Any questions, comments, or additional stories is welcome.
Hendrik, thank you. That was a brief one and a quick one, but I'm sure you have more to share with us after that. Actually, I see already in the Q&A section that there is a question coming, and yet I will keep that question for after that for the discussion, because I think it's a question that can go, it's from one of our viewers, but this is a question that can easily go to all of the presenters. And I'd very much like to hear from the others so we can build up at the end a good ground for a discussion. I have already some questions on my own, etc. Hendrik, thank you one more time. Stay with us. And I'd like now to switch to Thierry Suzanne, who's joining us from France.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah, from a company with an interesting name, Lucizodion. Thierry, I mentioned already that we'll be hearing from you an interesting presentation. I believe the presentation is called Openness and Interoperability, Pillars of Your Smart City Projects. I know it will be about lightning projects in cities. I had a pleasure to see in many African countries to hear and see such presentations. I know that I'm expecting something very interesting. Enough of me. The room is yours, Thierry.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, as Preslav introduced me, my name is Thierry. I'm French, so you will hear my nice English accent. I'm working for an English company called Lucizodion, and I'm working in the lighting industry for more than 10 years now. And I lived at least 2 or 3 revolutions in this market. Oops, sorry, I just need to remove the transition. Bear with me, please. Up. I think it would be nice now. Yeah, this market lived 2 or 3 revolutions over the last years, and the market is completely changing with all what we call the smart city market now. And Lucizodion is a very well-established company in the UK. It was founded more than 60 years ago, and we always focused on technology and inventing new way of controlling lights. We invite, I'm sorry, I still have the things to, the changes automatically. We invented 50 years ago the photocell technology in UK. And more than 10 years ago already, we developed our first CMS solution. And we now have more than 500,000 streetlights controlled with this first generation of CMS products. It allows us to learn a lot around how to control lights remotely, how to optimize assets from a customer point of view, how to measure, and it will allow us also to measure energy savings made on real installations, on real tenants, how much we reduce CO2 emissions. And 4 or 5 years ago, the first cities started to ask us around, what can we do else with your communication that we are using to control our street lights? And our answer was at the time nothing, because it was a full proprietary solution. But actually, in the market or in our day life, we are facing a real change in our society, because as you can see, we are living from far beyond what our planet can bring us in terms of natural resources. And at the same time, we need to provide, let's say, we need to provide access to everyone in the planet to a sustainable energy grid, sustainable and access to clean water for everyone. So we need to provide more people resources, but reducing our footprint on the planet. So it's just totally contradictory. And but this is something we need to do, because I am a father of 3 children, and I want to give them and to let them a planet in a better state, or in a better health than we have now. And this is, I think, this is some key topics I love on climate change and global warming. We can't act as individuals, or we need to act as a community to solve the problem. Some people are still, let's say, thinking that climate change is not happening. It is. And it's a fight of a century. It's a fight of our generation to start the change on the market. And Heinrich presented to us what is a smart city. Thank you, Heinrich. It was very interesting. In a city, let's say, historically, have some infrastructure in place to provide services to citizens. It can be transport, it can be energy, it can be light, it can be water, it can be anything. What Smart City is doing is just adding a digital layer to receive information from this infrastructure and to provide better services, more sustainable services, more energy efficient services to the citizens, to even improve or give access to more people to this infrastructure and services behind. So we can improve security, we can improve quality of life, we can improve biodiversity by only switching on lights where, when, and how it's needed. So we can do a lot of things. The problem is, as it's a very complex, these are very complex projects for municipalities today, because it's adding complexity, it's adding new skills requirements, and the value chain today is just exploded. Historically, you had taking this lighting example, you had light lamps, LED features, or sodium lamp luminaires. You had some guys installing luminaires, big contractors or municipal employee, and you had the customer, so the citizen at the end. Now you have a lot of new companies working around the smart city market. You need connectivity, you need sensors, you need to operate the network, you need to provide the services, you need to provide a sustainable solution that will work over 10, 15, 20 years maybe. And the people around this market are not used to work together. And this is where openness and interoperability is coming. As a generic network infrastructure, you will always have end devices, so sensors that will send information to your network, whatever the network is. You will have sensors sending information or data to your network. You will still have gateways that will take the information coming from the sensor and send it to the network server. The network server will then communicate to some application server stored either on-premise or in the cloud. And you will have some application, some platform to receive data and to maybe program or act or send a status to sensors to react to some events. The objective of being totally open and interoperable is to be open at every single stage of this infrastructure for the customers not to be locked on a single solution. Then it means that you will be able to choose, of course, to source the right product you want. You will be able to answer some problematics you are actually facing. You will be able to choose the right technology to communicate from the sensor to your platform. And the objective is for every single stage of this infrastructure to be able to be open and be able to choose the partner you want. And this is why this is very complicated project to manage and to synchronize, because you need to choose at the end, and you have all the choice. The power is needed to be in the customer hand, is needed to be on your side, and as a professional that provides solution, we need to adapt to your needs. We need to integrate to the global project of your smart city. It's not the opposite way, and for that one, our solution, the solution we chose, is to be open with a standard radio protocol called LoRaWAN. LoRaWAN is a very well and spread now radio protocol that achieve long range across a city. You can achieve up to 10 kilometer communication range between the gateway and the sensors. And you can have also what you call interoperability. It means like one platform, so the end software that you will use to manage and monitor your sensors. Interoperability means that this platform will be able to receive data from sensors from different suppliers based on several protocols and different protocols. So you can have sensors with LoRaWAN technology inside. You can have sensors with NB-IoT inside. You can have sensors with 3G, 4G, 2G, 5G inside, depending on the countries and the area. So the objective of this is to be fully agnostic from sensor supplier and IT communication, let's say, technology, and to be able to choose the right bricks to answer the right needs, and not being imposed by one supplier to use one technology that won't fit exactly what you want and what you need. For us, as companies, it requires to work in an let's say dynamic ecosystem that can change from one project to another, because we have a lot of data and insight to provide to every single customer that wants to invest on connecting his streetlights or optimizing his street lighting network. We have definitely, it's even a three-way dialogue every time between the customers or the municipality or the government and all the companies working on a project, because we need to synchronize with everyone to make sure that we are developing and proposing a good solution for every single project. And every single project is different, as Heinrich says. Every city is unique, so every project is unique, and we need to adapt to every single project. And then every single project is using different hardware, different sensors, and every time we need to synchronize and adapt to this to these unique expectations and unique configuration. These are some example of companies we are working with on some different projects. And the good thing is we are street lighting experts. We know how to speak and how to optimize street lighting scheme. And we are working now with IT specialists. We are working with water management specialists. We are working with network servers providers. We are working with a lot of different companies with different skills. And the good thing is we understood inside this ecosystem that we can't be expert of everything, and the main objective is to have the right expertise in our network to provide the best support possible to every single customer we can have. As a conclusion, I just want to highlight some key steps I think that are mandatory to have a successful smart city project. I think a successful smart city pilot or smart city test is easy because you have only a few sensors. When you want to scale and deploy thousands of sensors across a city coming from different maybe companies to answer different needs, you really need to be very careful on how you want to deploy this huge network of connected devices. First, the first thing to do for me is audit your existing installation and well understand what's the state of the art of your infrastructure today, or what you want to deploy as infrastructure in the next future. Then you just need to identify clearly the verticals you want to address and your objectives in terms of number of luminaires, availability of the energy grid, maybe loss of water with on your drinkable water network maybe, but it needs to be clearly identified and clearly shared with everyone inside the project to make sure that everyone is doing the work with the same ideas and the same objective in mind. Then at the end, the best thing for me is the best trade-off is to choose one protocol or one technology and deploy the infrastructure needed to answer the first need you identified. Then you deploy the sensors. You receive the first results based on the first deployment. Then you can maybe start to diversify your partners, your providers, start to have maybe 2 or 3 different solutions for the same verticals, just to make sure you are not locked with only one partner doing one job. And then you can start to diversify the verticals, diversify the protocols to have a more agnostic and a more global solution. But the really important things for me is to have a clear understanding of what is your objective long term and how to build your smart city at the first stage with openness and interoperability in mind, to be able to grow and expand your network easily in the future, not being locked by anyone. So it was quick to present these two important words from my point of view. I hope you found it interesting and insightful, and please don't hesitate to contact me if you have any questions or if you want to discuss about how to start your smart city project. Thank you very much.
Thierry, thank you very much for interesting presentation. I can't say I'm very technical, but definitely several questions on my mind, and I'll keep that for the end of the discussion. Like I said earlier, I would like to continue with the rest of the presenters so we can all together join in one round panel at the end, and I believe there'll be more questions coming. I already made a few notes. With that, once again, thank you. I would like to invite our next presenter. Gentlemen, in a presentation I'm very much again looking forward to hearing. I would like to introduce Zander van Pletsen, joining us again from South Africa. Interesting, I can just mention a couple of facts for Zander. I know about him from what he shared earlier. Zander has been earlier, had a career earlier in the South African Air Force as an airspace control operator. Now he moved to this very interesting sector in the company called Rocket Farm, which he will present. I can only say a smart career. Now that would be a hard year as it is for the Air Force now, given the circumstances. Zander, I also wanted to ask you, I know you will be speaking about use of drone technologies in the renewable energy sector, but something I wanted to say, a colleague of your colleague, Refilwe, she was supposed to join us as well. She couldn't, unfortunately, was going to speak as well about use of drone technologies in an urban environment, in the city management. Would be great if you can slightly touch base on that later sometime in your presentation or in the discussion. And I'm leaving it to you. Present yourself, your company, and tell us what you have prepared for us.
Hi, Preslav. Thank you. Thank you guys for joining. I'm Zander van Pletsen, Head Business Development Manager for Rocket Farm, which is a division of Rocket Mine. If you give me a second, I'll quickly share my presentation here with you. Great. Can you all see that? So I'll just kick it off just by showing you guys a group overview, just to share a little bit of what we do as Rocket Mine as a group. As you can see, we are quite heavily involved in all aspects of and a lot of industries within the drone markets. But today we'll be focusing on the renewables, so the inspection side, the solar and wind. So as a previous speaker said, I mean, we have to take into account that cities are growing, populations are growing, and there's an ever growing need for energy. And what a better way than renewable energy, even though at this stage it's a small part of the energy that is being provided towards the cities. It is a very key part that we have to look after, and we have to run it as efficiently as possible. And I do believe that drones is a way to get this management of these facilities as efficient as possible. So without further ado, I'll jump into the first one. So photovoltaic power plants. So just for short, we call them PV plants. So these are the normal solar plants or solar panels that you'll also find probably at your house, the little blue ones with the cells on it. And then obviously this is looking towards the large solar parks that have these types of solar panels on them. So first of all, I'll just be discussing some of the solutions that we have in the drone industry for these types of plants, and then just the advantages of them. I'll move through the different types of solar parks, and then I'll go to wind, and then I'll just wrap up with some of the challenges that we also face in the industry. So first of all, if we look at the solutions for PV plants, we've got the thermal anomaly detection, construction progress monitoring, and site mapping and layout. So just to quickly explain some of these, thermal anomaly detection is where we'll actually take the drone, we'll use a combination of a RGB, which is a normal camera, and a thermal sensor, and we'll fly over these plants and then collect the data as we move along. Using both these sensors, it will pick up hotspots or anomalies along these panels. This will be put out in a fully detailed report for you, and you'll be able to go directly to that problem area and sort it out there. These reports will also tell you exactly what the problem is, and also where it is, like I mentioned before. So it just focuses the manual effort on that as well. So on the construction progress monitoring, obviously having a view from the sky, you can have phase-by-phase updates as your project moves along and as the construction goes, and just allows you to give the feedback that you need to your stakeholders, and also just sharpens up the project management of this whole system, and keeps everything on track. And then, as we're also saying, space is running out. We all need more space, and space is just becoming a problem, and these types of solar parks do take up quite a lot of space. So site mapping and layout is quite crucial in the setup of these areas. So what we'll typically do is take a aerial survey of the facility before the construction starts, and then the guys can do the mapping and layout of the whole facility, plan it and execute it just quick and easy. So just the main advantages from this, all data sets are geo-referenced, which means that everything has coordinates. So if you spot the problem, or the software spots a problem, you'll know exactly where it is. You can send the manual maintenance force or whoever needs to repair this right to the spot, and just increasing all the efficiency around the maintenance of that as well. And then, like I said, increased all-around efficiency. I think I've been talking about that a lot. And then the detailed reports really just help you not only to focus the manual effort of the guys that actually have to go do the maintenance, but also just eases the report back sessions with the stakeholders and the rest of the management of these facilities. It could be that there's a lot of paperwork and a lot of explaining needing to do, but once you get these detailed reports, I mean, it just gives you the integrity of the whole site, and allows you to give quick and easy feedback on that. And then obviously one of the main advantages of this is just reduce the risk to the personnel. As we all know, in these conditions, it's quite adverse weather conditions that you can face on these sites, and it just reduces the risk to the people that actually have to walk up and down in these sites. So then I'm going to the concentrated solar power plants. So just to give some introduction maybe or background on this, CSP plants are basically parabolic trough mirrors that are used to reflect the sunlight either onto a center pillar, which it heats up with a salt solution, or it has a heat collection element running in the front of these mirrors that also gets heat up, and these the salt then moves towards the plant where they use it to actually generate the energy. As some of you might know or don't know, mirrors pose a massive problem when it comes to photogrammetry. So for a long time, it's been kind of, almost impossible to photograph or to aerially map these areas after the mirrors are put up and then actually get the data out of it. But through some R&D and partners working together and everyone just pulling together, I do think there's a viable solution out there where we can do the thermal inspections. So for these specific sites, it will be looking at the heat collection elements, the vacuum loss within them, if it's partial or full, and then also looking for broken, cracked, or damaged mirrors. And then once again, the construction and progress monitoring and site mapping and layout. Once again, these sites actually take up quite a bit more space than the PV sites. So planning this is crucial, and obviously the time it takes to do the construction, and that's all money and energy that's needed towards these growing cities. So if we can get this progress very efficient, quick, and easy, I think it's just to the advantage of everyone. So speaking of the advantages, once again, the georeference data sets, once again, I'm just doing this, a repeat of this, just to show that it is applicable to all of these. So the georeference data sets, once again, the main advantage there is to find the problem, see exactly where it is, and be able to send anyone to that specific problem. And then the increasing all-around efficiency and focusing manual efforts. Once again, I think we've spoken a lot about that. And then the detailed reports just helps you with the site feedback, checking the site integrity, making sure everyone is on top of everything, making sure everything runs smoothly on site with regards to the energy production. And then once again, reducing the risk to the personnel. As mentioned, there's hot liquids running through these pipes. There's mirrors there. It's a very hot climate to be in. So yeah, just limiting the exposure to the personnel. Then we move on to wind power. So many of you have probably seen these large wind turbines being resurrected everywhere. So what can we do for them with drones? So firstly, there's an outside blade and pillar inspection that we can do using RGB and thermal. That will be for checking for missing bolts, cracks, and defects on the turbine and the blades. So this will be inspecting the outside of this pillar and the blades. And then there's also now a possibility of inspecting the inside of these blades and pillars with specific drones. I'll show some of the examples after the presentation just to touch on where or how these drones look and what can you find if you are looking for a drone to do these types of work, and what can you expect to see. So another interesting part that the drones also play within the wind turbines is the de-icing of the blades. Not a big problem in South Africa, but these turbines are resurrected in some cold areas throughout the rest of the world. And what this will actually do is it's a drone that's connected to the ground by a pipe, and this pipe feeds the drone with a specialized liquid that is then sprayed all over the blade and defrosts the blade as it moves along. And then once again, we get back to construction, progress monitoring, and site mapping and layout. So this can be done for onshore and offshore constructions of these turbines. And if you look at the the main advantages of using drones in this industry, it's really quick compared to rope teams. If you can think, if you've ever seen one of these turbines, it's quite a large piece of machinery. And the norm is to have a rope team to climb it, to inspect it. I mean, firstly, there's a big safety risk involved there, especially in windy conditions. And then the expertise that are needed, then also the time that it takes and the downtime of the unit. Having the use of drones, you can up the frequency of inspections, thus just keeping the maintenance really on point. And then we get back to georeference data sets. Once again, you know, if you find the problem, you know exactly where it is. And talking to the next point, you can send the relevant people right there to actually do the maintenance on this. They're also working on robots, so the cleaning and climbing robots that you can actually put onto these turbines, and it will do some of the work already for you. Once again, one of the main advantages is reducing the risk to the personnel and the rope teams. I don't know about you guys, but climbing those heights with windy conditions and moving infrastructure, I do think I'd rather use a drone. And then also just having the ability to operate in these adverse weather conditions. So just moving along, we'll get to the challenges. So nothing is without its challenges, right? So just looking at some of the challenges we face in the drone industry. So firstly is the weather conditions, as mentioned. So just although there's not really much you can do to control the weather, right? So it's something that happens. But by using experience and using the right equipment, you can mitigate a lot of the risks that are surrounding the weather and so forth. Then the second main challenge I want to look at is regulations. So regulatory limitations can really pose a big problem with launching this technology in these sectors, but not to worry too much. It is possible to overcome this by following the correct procedures specified by that specific country's governing body. It does take a lot of time. That is the only drawback. It's not a quick procedure, but it is possible. And then if we look at the initial investment, this might not be a problem for a company looking to use a service provider such as ourselves, but if you're out there thinking that you maybe want to become a service provider, the initial investment that you have to go and actually buy this technology is quite significant. It's a quite significant figure. And that's just simply because the technology is at that point where we have to pay quite a lot. It's quite new, it's ever evolving. And really can put someone off of this. I just want to tell you guys, it is worth it. Your return on investment will come, and also for the people looking to actually use this, use these service providers, the return on investment will definitely pay for itself on your side as well. So just moving on. So the equipment you can expect in a survey like this. So at the top left, we've got a multispectral camera. This is mainly used to detect vegetation and look at that. And then we've got quadcopter drones, VTOL drones, which is vertical takeoff and landing drones. So it takes off like a quadcopter or multi-rotor and can then move like a fixed wing. This just helps for mapping large areas and also taking off and landing in very tight spots. Then it looks like something from the future. There's a drone in a cage there. These types of drones actually move inside the turbines and the plants and pipes and so forth. And these cages just enable them to freely move inside without damaging anything on the drone. And then I just put up some examples of thermal sensors and RGB sensors on there as well. Yeah, guys, that's the short and the long of what's what with the drones in renewable energy. And if you guys have any questions, please, I'll answer them after this in the Q&A session. Thanks, Preslav.
Zander, thank you very much. Very interesting, particularly the slides. I'm not sure your contacts, but be sure please to provide it, and update the slides with your contacts. I have a couple of questions to you. Let's keep it further on for the discussion. Stay with us. And I would like to invite, and before that, to introduce our last but not least presenters both gentlemen joining us from the beautiful Tehran. I'm saying that because I had a chance to visit Iran a few years back and experience the city and the hospitality of the people. Today, joining us from Tehran are Dr. Amin Faraji and engineer Amin Gharibi. Both are joining us from the University of Tehran. Dr. Faraji is assistant professor at the University of Tehran and also a president of Smart City Research Center of Iran. And engineer Amin Gharibi is president of the Smart City Research Center of Iran. Now, I wanted to say why when we invited them, I have to mention the following. I had a couple of very interesting potential presentation that were suggested to me from Dubai, from Singapore, but I realized that those will be most probably out of touch because here we're talking today about Africa, about developing smart cities, projects, etc., the smart city future of Africa. And I believe both Dr. Faraji and engineer Gharibi will have very similar success stories based on their research and development work done at the university and the Smart City Research Center of Iran, considering both of them said the issues and the cases are very similar in Iran, what we're trying to do in Iran and the majority of Africa, where we could say cities and smart city development is on a similar stage. So, gentlemen, the room is yours. I'm looking forward to hearing from you and then moving to the discussion.
Thank you. In the name of God, hello everybody. And first of all, I want to thank you, Mr. Preslav Bovev, and all our coordinator of this conference. So let me share my screen and I try to start my presentation. All right. Let me begin by a quick introduction and talking a little bit about city complicated issue and wicked problem that emerged recent years ago, actually a recent decade ago, and make a city more complicated and face a lot of more challenges. As you know, in 21st century, we face a urbanized world, and this is become more complicated and more problematic in developing country like Iran and a lot of developing country like African country and African cities. In this evolution and in this change in urban form and urban culture and urban economic context, we need to create a new form of city and bring a new city life that we call a smart city and a smart living. As I said, the unprecedented rate of urban growth and urban population in developing country and in country like Iran and African city brought up a necessity for urban management to seek optimal solution. But what is the optimal solution? As you know, UN or United Nations from late of 20th century created the report called Our Common Future and try to actually make a new form and new approach to make city more sustainable and more sustained. I'm sorry, let's start sharing. All right. And this solution called the Sustainable Development and Sustainability Index, that's in the first of 21st century, United Nations bring two kind of and this is called MDG, mean Millennium Development Goals, and SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. That one of the most sustainable actually sustainable approach to present a solution to these challenges must be the smart city. So a smart city and a smartness need to a smart transformation. But what is the smart transformation? Iran, like any developing country, have actually started development of infrastructure required for developing a smart and innovation solution specific for a Persian urban context, and now is it a way to establish a smart transformation as a process to undertake ICT technology and infrastructure to meet the local urban challenges. We can list some city. Actually, in Iran, we have more than 1,300 cities, but some of cities that try to make their city more smart, like Tehran as a capital city of Iran, Mashhad, a holy city Mashhad, Tabriz, Arak, Qom, Isfahan, Shiraz, Kish Island, Rumia, and other cities have entered the process. The important question, as I said, is that exactly what is a smart transformation? Before I try to respond to this question, we need to understand the specific context of any country and a specific context of any city. As Heinrich said, we need to find a specific smart city for any city around the world, especially in developing country, because developing country has some different problem, because after a rapid urbanization, we face a lot of problem like slum, pollution, deteriorated texture, congested traffic congestion, and even crime, and so on. So we need a basic and fundamental change in performance of a service, business, organization, or in another scale in a city or even rural, regional, country, and every scale. Because when we try to build a smart city, we need a smart transformation and especially a smart citizen. As you know, a smart city has three generations from the beginning. I mean, in 1990, we faced a smart city that called it ICT, and it's ICT based, and try to create a smart city based on the infrastructure. But the second generation of a smart city tried to build a more sustained and green city. So after that, the third generation of a smart city tried to build a smart city and a smartness based on what the citizen want. As Shakespeare said, what is the city but the people? We can define city as a people and as a citizen. So when we try to find a smart city and a smart solution, we need and we have to educate our citizen as a smart citizen, and this is a prerequisite and requirement for establish a smart city. And one of the most important challenges of cities and organization in developing country, as I said, in like Iran, is that a new trend of extreme urbanization, especially after the Islamic Revolution. We face a very skyrocket migration to urban area, and today we have about more than 75% of Iranian population live in urban area, and so this trend make this has very consequences for urban space and creating very problem. Reviewing and evaluation of action had been made in Iran in context of smart city and smart urban management, especially in leading city, as I said, like Mashhad, Tehran, Isfahan, showed that the effort and intentional urban management was only focused on taking a new technology. I mean, the first generation of a smart city, and this is not a best solution and sustainable solution, because we just try to create a smart city in developing country like developed country. I mean, when I try to build a smart city in Iran, we have to focus on cultural, economical, and political and social context of Iranian city, not just copy the city like Barcelona, like Amsterdam, like Oslo, like any city around the world, because every city have different situation for create a better, smart city. And as you see, there are several governmental and non-governmental organizations in which had the development of the process of smart transformation amongst their main mission in Iran, including Ministry of ICT, Iran Ministry of Road and Urban Development, Ministry of Economic Affairs and Finance, Vice President for Science and Technology, Information Technology Organization of Iran, Department of Environment, Islamic Republic of Iran, ICT, and so on, that try to make Iranian city smarter and create a specific form of smart city. I mean, a Smart City Research Center of Iran, as a part of this process, try to localize the smart city concept for Iranian city, because we believe that every city in Iran and any country, like especially developing country like African city, has the specific model to create a smart city, and we call these localized smart city. Apart from the development of ICT infrastructure, several project and initiative had been established and implemented with respect to Iran's main challenges that I said, because we have a skyrocket urbanization, especially from about 8 decade late of 20th century. With respect to Iran main challenges and that metropolitan are involved in the field of actually transportation, housing, pollution, and urban service. It should be noted that as a diverse urban environment, different urban climate, social and cultural, as I said, in Iran, local solution and initiative that can meet all different aspects of urban life are yet under progress. But very valuable steps have been taken in develop of infrastructure debate. We mentioned some of the successful infrastructure development and initiative of some city below. As you see, Tehran as a leading city on the behalf of the smartness, especially create a unified platform like My Tehran Smart City that try to present and actually presenting a better service and integrated service or fiber optic network, Tehran Urban Observatory, Smart Tehran Center, and so on. And Mashhad, Holy Mashhad, and activity action like wireless network, fiber optic network, and My City Smart System, and so on. Ahvaz, as you see, fiber optic network, optical fiber development plan, providing municipality service on fiber optic platform, and so on. And in the end, Yas City, and we can classify its activity like fiber optic network, input bandwidth capacity, and my YAS smart system, and so on. As you see, in a lot of different cities in Iran, try to make the better way to create a smartness, especially try to pass the first generation of a smart city and enter to a new generation, I mean the third generation of a smart city, and create a platform like City Hall to create more participation of citizens in a lot of different cities. To date, noticeable step had been taken with regard to implementing smart transformation for Persian cities specified for their own local characteristic to undertake new technology to meet local challenges. It should be mentioned that the smart transformation process is a process, not just a product. Actually, as Rachantal said in his book, Smart City for Dummies, the smart city is not a product. Actually, it's a process, and we must focus on the process. I mean, a Smart City Research Center of Iran, try as a part of University of Tehran, try to create a new approach and a new solution or resolution for urban area, and create a new form of a smart city. In this regard, we have a lot of action on in order to further synergy and transfer of experience and knowledge among the smart city activity. The Smart City Research Center of Iran has set the National Smart City Day on November 24, simultaneously with the day of commemoration of the Farabi. Actually, he was a creator of the Utopia theory. This research center has also organized the National Smart City Committee in cooperation with the Ministry of Information and Communication Technology of Iran, as well as the Information Technology Organization of Iran. With participation, actually, this committee include 17 members from public and private organization. We try to just summarize some activity here, and we have a lot of different experience too. In my colleague, Mr. Amin Gharibi, present experience of Smart Africa, and thank you everybody. If anybody has any question, I'm ready. Mr. Bobev, thank you.
Thank you as well. Mr. Gharibi?
Yes, hello everybody.
Yes, please take 5 minutes, 5 to 10 maximum, so we can have a time for Q&A.
Okay. Hello, thanks to Mr. Amin Faraji for his presentation. And in this section, I want to talk about the smart city and smart transformation in Africa. According to our research, there are very good activities in African city. However, we try to summarize these activities to get a relatively good understanding of the smart city in Africa. Activities are divided into 4 general categories: digital government, transparency and citizen engagement, energy efficiency of municipal assets, and efficiency of public service and infrastructure. In this slide, you can see an overview of what is happening in the smart city in Africa. According to published statistics, more than 8 of 10 African have a mobile phone, and the rest of the important information, and you can see in this slide. From this slide on, we have tried to summarize the information about the action taken. In the digital government category, activities such as municipal management optimization, smart payment, increasing tax revenue, and lesson learned about the digital government. This project is being implemented in countries like Egypt, Kenya, Uganda, Ecuador, and etc. In the transparency and citizen engagement category, activities such as building trust between the citizen and the administration, fighting corruption and fraud, improving and investment attraction, challenge and recommendation. This project is being implemented in countries like Kampala, Uganda, and other countries. And in the energy efficiency of municipal and citizen category, activities such as street lighting, municipal buildings, and smart grids. And the subsections you can see. And this project is being implemented in countries in Sub-Saharan and Johannesburg. And the end of in the efficiency and public services and infrastructure category, activities such as smart transformation, management, smart waste management, smart water management. And finally, I want to have a conclusion in my presentation. Developing countries most move towards a smart city based on the social, cultural, national, and other dimensions of that countries such as Iran, Africa, and etc. In other words, the ways for each city and country to reach a smart city and a smart transformation are different from the others. And we have some suggestion for a smart city and a smart transformation process. Activities, the non-oil structure, development of cultural industries, development of appropriate social strategies, development of new businesses and startups, and development of new policies and law. Thanks to everybody listen to my presentation. Does anyone have any question? Tell us.
Thank you very much, gentlemen, for interesting presentations. I would like to inform one more time those viewers that are with us that the presentations will be sent, the recordings will be available, and they can get in touch with you at any time. And with that, we have approximately, I think, 15 to 20 minutes to join in for, I wouldn't say brief discussion. I would like to start, I have some questions here prepared on my own, but I would like to start with a question that has been sent in the Q&A feature by Mr. Anup Kumar Chakrabarti. You excuse me for a little bump in pronouncing the name. Interesting question indeed, and I believe it can go to all the presenters this afternoon in session 2. Don't you think, first, that overpopulation and second, internet availability, accessibility in Africa can be both vital limitations and challenge to build a clean energy smart city? And is it possible without solving poverty and education, so to say, problems in Africa, over the entire Africa? Is it possible that this is happening? This is possible to happen without solving Africa's, rather in majority of Africa, poverty and lack of education, lack of access to education in regards to the question. So one by one, up to you. I won't be pointing out who to take the word first. Yeah, the question actually is asked to Heinrich on the first place. Maybe he can take the first.
Okay. I'll answer it if I can. But okay, thank you. I kind of like the question. Well, first off, with population growth, environmental issues, lack of resources, and many more issues in cities, it's actually benefit from a smart city. I mean, smart cities are urban solutions that came from many of these challenges. When transitioning a city, it can be difficult as the population grows and the dynamics in a city change with the transition. If you can have like an implementation, when you implement it, like you do it in sections, and after which you also adapt the section later as the population actually moved and dynamics changed in the city. But yeah, a population growth, I guess, is one of the problems that benefits from a smart city. Internet availability is definitely a limitation to think about. I'm not as worried about the availability of internet in cities itself as about the outskirts and the rural areas. Currently, for instance, my parents stay in a more rural area in South Africa, and they're getting, for them to get reliable internet means hiring 2 different companies with different infrastructure, and having a system that actually falls back when the one goes down. And that's very expensive. So luckily, Elon Musk is currently announcing or currently announced that he's launching Starlink in South Africa next year while piloting it. So we already ordered the Starlink kit. So I hope that works, that it will be cheaper for us and can solve a lot of problems. But see, with a smart city, I'm not as much worried about exactly how fast the internet is, but rather how reliable the connection is. So many of the things, I've played a little bit of some of the smart technologies and stuff, and with many of these technologies that are designed in the first world, and they don't always function as well with continuous outages. So they get a bit mumbled up, and you need to go restart them manually and stuff like that. So there's a little bit of problem with the internet connecting, I think, especially in Africa. But yeah, I think there are people actually trying to solve this problem, and we're definitely working towards a solution, which is a good thing. Then the last part was, is it possible to solve or to implement a smart city without solving poverty and education? Well, smart cities are designed to create an environment for economic growth, especially, I think that's especially applicable to Africa. Education is quite important. But remember, transitioning a city can take easily 20 plus years, and there should be time to look into improving the education system and getting that up to scratch as it progresses. All in all these aspects that were mentioned are quite important, and I'm glad someone asked about it. So thank you. Another thing is just a simple remark. Especially in Africa, where in many of these areas, there's some basic service are still lacking, like proper sanitation or providing water, or a lot of these services are still not reliable. And I think before transitioning a city into becoming like a smart city, you need to look at some of the basic services just to be able to provide that and provide it reliably.
I would add to that possibly also the question of the access to energy and to stable grid connection. Everyone been to African cities. I mean, I remember from many of my stays in Nairobi, in Dakar, how there's constant, very frequent electricity blackouts in some of the biggest and most developed cities. And here probably also going to Thierry as well, to what extent is that needed? To what extent is that like in terms of
to give you a perspective from our perspective, we have a lot of load shedding in South Africa. It's still a continuous problem, and my parents are running a business and already started going over to their own renewable systems. I think it would have been it's an expensive move. It does pay off at the end to start generating your own electricity, but that is not always possible for everyone, especially in Africa. And I think reliable energy is quite important.
Yeah, and particularly for smart city projects. And here probably Thierry and Xander can tell us like their practice in their work, how that relates.
Yeah, maybe if I can just give my insights. I think it's as smart city projects are a complete new, let's say, markets or new needs for European and African cities with some different background. I think it's time for, even for us as private entities, to be, let's say, to include and to embrace citizens and local population to this kind of project. Because smart city also means to provide services, to provide more sustainable and more reliable solutions. So it's more global thing to have, and I know that some kind of new contracts are asking to the company involved in this kind of project to provide also more reliable grid, give access to water for the local population, to secure access to school for children. So a part of, let's say, the technical solution. I think it's very important also to have some local impact as a human or as a worldwide citizen. So the smart city is a good thing to have, to provide access, to allow access to natural resources to the local population. But on top of that, you need to also consider local impact you can have in parallel of your solution or technological solution. It's something we have to consider also, definitely.
Yeah, it comes the question and when and how to engage then in a smart city project as well, all of you. Like one has to, the evaluation of a smart city environment, available background, like a population background, like a connectivity to internet, to electricity.
Yeah, I think we need also to invest and to if needed to build the infrastructure needed to have this solution working. It's not only providing our product, it's just having a real global think about how to make it happen and how to make it become real, and not only thinking about our vertical, our silo, what we can do only with our perspective of business, but with the complete ecosystem of the companies and the people living in this project, around this project, how to build a real long-term strategy for the city to be more reliable, more energy friendly, to give access to local population to the most basic resources we have in Europe, and achieve, let's say, the final goal is to achieve the sustainable growth objective already defined. And we are all here to improve quality of life to everyone in our planet at the end.
And before we'll move back to the bigger picture again, and I would like to hear, of course, from our guest from Tehran. But Zander, if you allow me, I have a very specific question to you. I've said it already a few times. I've been in a lot of countries. I've witnessed a lot of conferences in Africa and a lot of presentations. And major topic has been always, and that goes in relation to the specific of the technology you are applying, and you are like providing workforce, the readiness of a workforce to work, like, because obviously at the company, within the company, you can operate, you have a trained workforce. What about extending to countries in Africa? And how much is that complicating a project and also making it more financially insufficient if you have to transfer trained, obviously, workforce, people who can work with operate this, or train local people, obviously, which I believe is the case.
Yes, definitely, Preslav. So, I mean, if you look at just the current integration in South Africa already, not all markets are already ready for the data that is being able to be provided by drones throughout all the industries. There are some industries that are more prepped for this than others, and it's definitely a thing where it's a learning factor. So as soon as we go into a new market, we find that we first have to educate that market and the people in there and find the similarities and find how to get the relevant data in so they can actually use it and apply it in their workspace. And then the goal is definitely to move into Africa. So most of the companies we work with do actually have reaches up into Africa. And it's a big request from them as well, is to how do we mobilize this technology up into Africa? And it's definitely something that we open with welcome of open hands. We have already moved up into Ghana, and we are also trying to move up into the other countries like Zambia, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. And then from there on, just keep on moving up and just upskilling and educating the community until we can
have an achievable workforce as we go along up into the other countries.
What about access to funding, financing? You mentioned yourself that this is not a cheap technology. Same goes to Thierry, probably Heinrich as well. They will, and both gentlemen, Mr. Garibi and Mr. Paraji will know. I know because at all events we're talking about financing. I had an financing of renewable energy projects, and I know that World Bank, EBRD, African Development Bank are open and financing such a projects off-grid, particularly off-grid right now is booming in Africa, everywhere in Africa. A lot of investment in that. What about innovative technologies, smart cities technologies like what you presented, what Thierry presented, and question of the work?
Preslav, definitely hitting the nail on the head there. Moving these technologies up and actually upskilling the people and helping the community to get there costs a lot of money. And us being a functional operation, we obviously have to make money in order to actually help other people out and to upskill the people. And yeah, that's definitely a thing. Is funding. It costs a lot of money, and we will need the support from our local community, especially the companies that are booming and helping, or that have the funds to help. We definitely call on all of them to give a hand and just to help us push this up further and help the other communities out as well.
Yeah, because when we're speaking about financing and funding of projects, like in many countries, I know a lot of good, excellent projects, innovations, etc., are like going after a year or two, dropping down because they're simply the only possible source of funding is the government in many African countries. In many African countries, we know that African the IFIs, the financial institutions, do not want to engage in certain countries, like in Zimbabwe, for example, etc. I've been many times there. All right. Let's change it a little bit. I have a question to both our guest speakers from Iran, maybe relating again the Iranian experience in your work from the perspective of your work in Iran and Iranian cities. What are the requirements for the realization of a smart city, startup requirements for realization of smart cities?
Yeah, thank you again. I think for a lot of developing country like Iran, especially for Iran, because we face a brutal sanction and it's limited us to access more innovation around the world. But I think for Iran and any developing country, the first and most important thing as a requirement to reach the smart city is a budget or funding. And after that, we need a unified and integrated strategy because we must create and build a city and a specific smart city for any city. And we need a strategy. And after that, we need to reorganize all aspects of urban planning because we face somehow disintegrated urban planning because maybe some part of urban planning try to find a new approach to make a smart city and and some part try to a different way. So we need to reorganize the urban planning department and urban planning approach in especially in municipality.
Heinrich, maybe you, from your perspective, how is Africa different from the rest of the world in, so to say, transforming cities into smart cities? Putting it in, like I said, in the example of Africa, where everything is quite specific, I would say. I believe that main first thing is changing a mindset of probably not only the population, the people, but the municipal authorities and governments. That's what I have seen everywhere in Africa. Really, that's there's really need of working on that.
I think you really need to consider the kind of state of the infrastructure that's available, and then you have to work from that. And that's for any country actually valid, but especially in Africa with like you said, there's frequent energy outages and everything. So there's a lot to work with, and yeah.
Well, to me, it looks like it comes country to country. Like, I've been, for example, everybody knows Kigali and Rwanda. The example, it's a city that's booming in terms of innovation and technology. There's the government there that is really investing into it and planning to make it really a, so to say, digital smart hub of Africa, one of the most innovative cities. And we go to other cities in Africa where that's not like that. We have many examples. Gentlemen, I would like to give you the word if any last words on your side. We are right with the time. Right now, it's 1 p.m. GMT time almost. We have several minutes, last words. And of course, everyone will be able to get in touch with you, to have your contacts, particularly to approach you with the questions or just to get introduced and be in touch with you after that. If anyone has a final word, we're happy to hear it before we close day one.
Yeah, just a big thank you, Preslav, to organize this nice event. And to give
I
us
wasn't asking for words for compliments to me, although it probably came out this
but
way.
it's important also.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I have a quick word, Mr. Preslav and all of my friends. A Smart City Research Center of Iran ready to cooperate with any country and to learn more about your experience. And I really appreciate Mr. Preslav to invite us and having us. Thank you very much, and I hope that's be useful.
Thank you, Dr. Faraji. Amin, if I can use your first name. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for your commitment, for your well-prepared content and interesting presentations. I would like to encourage you to join us again on the LinkedIn groups we created for this event, because there's a lot of people from all over the world. There's been people watching us and registered for that from so many different countries. Somebody has listed here LinkedIn. With that, I would like to close day one. We had an interesting day, perfect timing, impeccable timing, I would say. Tomorrow, we have prepared a very interesting program. Again, 9 presentations, I believe, case study presentations. We'll be hearing people from Saudi Arabia as well, from Egypt, from South Africa, from Dubai, from the United Arab Emirates. Great day. Thank you to the sponsors. Thank you to the partners, to the Digital 4 Foundation technical team for doing really great job today. And I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow. Wishing you a good day. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye.
The same time tomorrow, 10 GMT. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.